Hey, Dave McDermott here, McDermott Law Group, McDermott Mafia, McDermott Militia, all one of the same. Today's Need to Know what? Need to know the law. It's being filmed out here in beautiful state of Colorado with this very fresh, awesome air. We're on the side of a mountain with a waterfall behind us. Kind of surreal, at least for me, because I'm not the mountain guy. This awesome air, you might pick up an occasional scent of marijuana because in 2012, Colorado, along with Washington, the first states to go ahead and make marijuana legal. We're going to talk today about marijuana-based DUIs and the significance of marijuana-based DUIs, and we're going to be as quick as possible. We're just talk about one major thing. When you get pulled over for DUIs, I've told you before in the past, the police often ask you to do certain field sobriety tests. These field sobriety tests and your ability to perform these field sobriety tests generally, by the general person, are not affected nearly as much when you're under the influence of marijuana as they are when you're under the influence of alcohol. So they don't really give too much information to the police when they're having you perform them. The BAC, the typical breathalyzer test, the PBT, the portable breathalyzer test, or the breathalyzer test that takes place back at the station, also doesn't help the police to determine whether you're driving under the influence of marijuana because there is no breathalyzer test that gauges marijuana, at least as of right now. So very often, in order for them to be able to determine whether you have marijuana in your system, they're going to ask either for a urine sample or a blood sample. This is where you have to say, sorry, but I'm not doing it. Officer, I haven't done anything wrong. I haven't been consuming marijuana. I don't believe it's necessary or proper for me to go ahead and submit to this test. I know my rights, and I'm sorry, but I'm just not going to do it. Make sure you stick with that. If, in fact, you submit to the test, just so you know, and they're going to, by the way, they're going to threaten you with what will happen if you refuse to go ahead and submit to the test. The implied consent when you're on the roadway. You're basically giving consent to go ahead and submit to these tests. And if you don't submit to the test, they're going to say, well, your license is going to be suspended for a much greater period of time if you don't submit to the test. Take the suspension. We could fight suspensions, as I've told you before in the past, but it's going to be a lot easier to fight a suspension and worry about the suspension and the significance of the suspension on your with your background than it is to go ahead and fight the weed-based DUI because in fact you gave a blood sample or a urine sample. So just don't do it. One thing you also need to know real quick is that from state to state, they're very different with respect to what constitutes driving under the influence of marijuana. Some of these states, if you have any marijuana in your blood at all, you are in fact driving under the influence of marijuana. Marijuana typically stays in your system for a period of 30 days. So any type of marijuana in your system, you're going to have a problem. Just don't do it. That's it for today's Need to Know.